Alright, it's been about a little over 2 months since I last played this game. Let's do chapter 4. I'm not sure how many chapters are in here, but we'll find out soon enough. In October. I'm barefoot, in the grass. Before me, the black mass of the forest seems to invite me in. I feel a hand on my arm. Miss 14. Miss? I heard a noise, so I came to check. Mrs. Bortine is standing next to me, looking concerned. Daphne. What am I doing here? What happened? A bad dream, miss. Just a bad dream. Come on, let's get you to bed. It's the forest, right? The Sphinx calling me. Mrs. Bortine guides me back to my bedroom. I fall into a dreamless sleep. When I wake again, the sun is well up in the sky. I'm surprised to see Mrs. Bortine still here, asleep in the chair on the other side of the room. She is sleeping so peacefully, I feel almost guilty waking her up. Mrs. Bortine? Oh, hello, Miss Daphne. I'm sorry. I must have dropped off. Dropped off? But what are you doing here? Oh, don't you remember? You gave us quite a fright last night. My Gerard heard you go out. He heard a noise and went to check on what it was. When he saw it was you, he woke me up so I could take you back to bed. We're used to it. Anyway, it used to happen to Madam, your grandmother, quite often. Once or twice a month, we'd find her wandering in the garden, and we had to put her back to bed. It must be the moon. The moon? Well, yes. She always did it when the moon was full. You know what they say, don't you? About the full moon? I don't see the connection. I don't know. There's really no scientific proof that the moon influences behavior. Ah, well, those scientists are always a step or two behind. I speak from experience. The full moon always brings something with it. You have to beware of full moon dreams. Actually, I had a strange dream last night. It's funny you mention it. I did have a strange dream, actually. I was in the forest. Then there was a mirror and a sphinx. A sphinx, you say? Did you know that's part of your family's coat of arms? Maybe you saw it there. Well, perhaps. The coat of arms? Yes, that's right. The blazon of the Delators. You should have a look. It's carved into the tower wall. A blazon with a tower and a sphinx. A bit like that one from the pyramids. I'll take a look when I get the chance. Thanks. You're right. Maybe I did see it there. Well, miss, if you don't need me anymore, I'll get back to the lodge. Gerard must be waiting for me to fix his lunch. Yes, of course. Off you go. I know how to look after myself. In that case, miss, Have a good day. And if you need anything at all, you just let me know. Mrs. Bortine goes, leaving me alone with my questions. I telling myself that this might be the moment to call Dr. Durant. He said I could call him if I felt the need, and I'm afraid that time has come. I'm not so sure he can do anything for me, but you never know. I pick up the phone and dial his number. Dr. Durant. Hello? Dr. Durant? It's Daphne Delator. Ah, hello, Daphne. Why are you calling? Well, you told me I could call. True. But you haven't been in touch since August, and now you're calling me on a Sunday morning? I'm guessing it must be important. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. I can call you back tomorrow if you prefer. No, you were right to call me. That's precisely why I gave you this number. And I'll be more tuned in now than I would be between patients tomorrow. I quickly run through everything that's happened since I arrived. I end with the recurring dream and with what happened last night. Listen, Daphne, I understand why you've called me, but there is no cause for alarm. There is no proven treatment for somnambulism, and everything suggests that it's an isolated crisis, certainly due to your new environment. But you must have an explanation for the dream, don't you? Well, for that, we can look into psychoanalysis. Tell me, how would you interpret it? It felt like a premonitory dream. I don't know. The dream, it was really strange. It almost felt like a premonition. You're entitled to your beliefs, Daphne, but let me remind you that you are in charge of your own destiny. Don't forget that. Even if this dream was indeed a premonition, as you say, don't be trapped by the idea that your fate can't be changed. Yes, you're right. Most of all, don't push yourself too hard. Take some time to think things over. You've been through a lot of changes. When you get your bearings, everything will be fine. You'll see. Thank you, Doctor. You told me your ex-partner had paid you a visit. How do you see things there? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Sometimes I ask myself if I wasn't too hard on him. Then again, I can't see that there's any way to get us out of this impasse. I think you're right. Both to question yourself and to take the time you need to think it through. Whatever you decide together, it would be a shame to make the same mistakes again. You're probably right. So, you mentioned the young man. Stanislas, is that right? I may have mentioned him. Yes, but I don't really know what to think of him. On one hand, he was intolerably rude, but on the other, I do find the Maltese quite intriguing. I'm just trying to point out that Frank isn't the only alternative. Maybe you're more open to new opportunities than you care to admit. Me and Stanislaus Malter? That seems a bit far-fetched, Doctor. I'm only reacting to what you told me, but but if you'll allow me, I'd advise you not to rely on Frank being the solution to everything. And if you want your relationship to work, you need to make sure of your own well-being first. One last thing. Before we get back to our own regular Sundays. Yes? How do you feel about your new job? I like it a lot. I know I wasn't sure about it when I left, but believe it or not, I love my new job. It was perfectly normal to be anxious in your situation. I was sure you would enjoy it. You were right. Teaching is really fulfilling. It's so satisfying to enable these young brains to get a grip on complex ideas. I'm glad to hear that. Hang on to that positive element. It will help you get through the trials life throws at you. Alright, Daphne. I'm sorry, but I have to go. I'm glad to hear that you're more at peace. No matter what, I don't think you've got any need to worry. It's perfectly normal to doubt yourself and to need time to get your bearings. I trust you, of course, but I'm still not completely sure. Come now, Daphne. You have no reason to let yourself be overwhelmed by these details. As for your sleepwalking episode, be alert, but don't be alarmed. You told me about the wardens living nearby. Perhaps you could ask them to be on their guard, in case it happens again. Call me if you ever do feel yourself getting overwhelmed, and, if needed, I'll refer you to a colleague in your area. Okay. Oh, and unless it's an emergency, try to check the day of the week before you jump at the phone next time. Yes, of course. Doctor, I'll try to limit my sleepwalking to weekdays from now on. Alright. We'll say no more about it. Have a good Sunday. Thanks. You too. As I'm recovering from my night, lolling on the sofa, with a good book and a cup of tea, I hear someone knocking. I'm surprised to find Frank beaming at me on the porch and holding a bunch of flowers. Frank, carnations, your favorites. When I saw them at the market, I thought of you right away. He hands me the flowers as he steps inside. How about a coffee? Sure. So, how are things going? Do you like the village? He follows me to the kitchen. I put the flowers in the vase and turn on the coffee machine. Well, I'm doing alright. I've got a couple of jobs, including some big roof repairs. What's great around here is that people are so easy to work with. They're not constantly asking me to justify my decisions, and they don't have harebrained notions of how I should do my job. And you? How are you doing? We chat for a while. In passing, I tell him about my eventful night. I listen to him with half an ear as I sort out the family albums. An hour and 2 coffees later, Frank finally decides to get to the point. You told me about your tower with no door. Do you remember? I've got to admit, I was pretty intrigued. Would you mind if I take a look? Not at all. Help yourself. I'm as intrigued as you are. I'm wondering what might be inside. In that case, I'll investigate and report back to you. Do you want me to check around for an old pipe? I think you ought to be properly equipped, don't you, Sherlock Holmes? Very funny. I'm sure I can resolve the mystery of the yellow room. Then Frank goes off to do his stuff, and I get back to my blanket and my thriller. He reappears late in the afternoon, his coat covered in dust and his shoes covered in mud. So, from the look on your face, I'm guessing it wasn't elementary, my dear Watson. Nope. I have to admit defeat. So what are your conclusions? That there must be an entrance somewhere, but I couldn't find it. I try to get in by the wall with the ladder, but the arrow slits are too narrow and too deep. I can't see anything inside, let alone get in unless I blow up the wall. Mrs. Bortine caught me doing my acrobatic act, so I took the chance to ask her a few questions. Apparently, she's got no idea what's inside either. I told you so. When I suggested getting in by the roof, she immediately advised me against it. Apparently the roof hides an older stone ceiling. No way in that way either. And thinking about the kind of scaffolding I need to get up there, I think I'll take her word for it. Well, at least you tried. Sure. Well, I'd better go. I've got a big day tomorrow. Thanks for the coffee. You're welcome. See you later. See you. I didn't dream that night. Monday was particularly tiresome. I don't know if the students are conspiring to wind me up, or if it's just that I'm not completely over my disturbing weekend. To top it off, as I head to the school gates, I see Mrs. Levesque glaring balefully at me as she waits for her son. I suppose she'll leap on the chance to get me an earful. After my long day, it's tempting to try and dodge her, even if it's not very professional. As I'm weighing up the pros and cons, I realize she's already striding towards me. What should I do? I think I'll let her come to me. I'm bracing myself for an unpleasant 15 minutes when I feel a hand on my arm. Stanislaus Maltaire. Ah, Miss Delator, I'm in luck. I just wanted a word with you. It's Stanislaus Maltaire, holding a young child by the hand. Mrs. Levesque, immediately turns on her heels and goes back outside the gates. Pierre Mater. Uncle Stan? Who's this lady? Well, Pierre, this pretty lady is Daphné Delator. She lives at the castle. At the witch's castle? You're not a witch, are you, miss? Do excuse him. As you can tell, he's not afraid to speak his mind, he adds, with a wink. He takes after his uncle, I suppose. I crouch down to the child's height. Perhaps I'm a nice witch. Since I live in the witch's castle, I must be a witch. Since I live in the witch's castle, I must be a witch, right? He hides behind his uncle's legs, intimidated. Yes. In that case, I must definitely be one. But perhaps I'm the nice kind of witch, don't you think? Do they exist, Uncle Stan? Nice witches? Of course they do. Miss Delator is a teacher at the middle school. She knows what she's talking about. I stand up and notice Stanislaus is putting out his hand. I don't believe we've formally been introduced. Stanislaus Maltaire. But my friends call me Stan. Daphné Delator. But it seems you already know that. Of course. You must have noticed how fast news spreads around here, Daphné. May I call you Daphné? Since you've met the patriarch last month, he hasn't stopped talking about you. The poor man's completely obsessed with what happens at the castle, and it isn't improving with his age. But don't let that put you off. The rest of the family isn't cut from the same cloth. You must have coffee together one of these days to get to know each other. I'm sure we have a lot in common. Before I have a chance to answer, he adds, by the way, did you receive your invitation to the cocktail party? Cocktail party? I do hope you'll come. My father always makes me attend, but it's atrociously stuffy. Uncle Stan, can we go for my snack? Yes, Pierre, in a minute. Well, Junior wants a snack. We better go. Say goodbye to Daphné, Pierre. Hey, my name's Pierre Eves. Not Junior. The child takes my hand. Will you come with us, Auntie Daphné? I think he might have adopted you. Auntie Daphné has things to do. She can't come with us this time. Come on, let's go home. You're driving. For real? Of course not. Daphné, it was lovely to meet you. See you soon. Within a few minutes, Stan and Junior have disappeared in a sports car, and I'm left speechless on the sidewalk, trying to sort out what just happened. When I get back to the house, I discover I have mail. An elegant, square envelope containing an invitation to a cocktail party. I guess that's what Stanislaus was talking about. It looks like I've been invited to the reopening of the town hall gardens that have just been renovated. I bet all the cream of the local society will be there, so it could be an excellent opportunity to learn more about the Maltaires. I could ask Frank to come with me, but I know this kind of social event isn't his cup of tea. On the other hand, going on my own... Let's leave Frank to his own devices. No, I'd rather go on my own. And then again, it would be rather hypocritical to ask him, considering our situation. D-Day arrives fast. As I start to prepare for the evening, I'm confronted with a quandary. I can deduce from the elegance of the invitation card that proper attire is required, so I guess it's not a jeans and a shirt kind of do. I don't own anything remotely appropriate for this kind of occasion, but after rummaging through the wardrobe in my mother's room, I find two dresses that might be suitable. I just can't choose. On one hand, there's a long empire line dress. I suspect it was more to my grandmother's taste and criteria of elegance. To be honest, I can't imagine my mother wearing this by choice. It's pale blue, a color that generally suits my complexion. The other option is a black strapless dress, short and tight-fitting. I can totally see my mother wearing this. It's exactly the kind of thing she would have worn for nights out. Unlike the blue one, it leaves very little to the imagination. Between the bare shoulders and the length, or rather, lack of length of the skirt, which one should I choose? Let's go for the strapless black dress. It's a bit skimpy for October, but the weather seems warm enough. It might be a little cold, but I'll deal with it. It's not like I have 1,000 options. No, I'm not convinced. Perhaps I should try the more conservative option. As I put on the other dress, I'm having second thoughts. Maybe the first one was better after all. I have to decide or I'm going to be very late. Personally, I prefer the black one. I think that's just more of like a modern taste kind of thing. I should have trusted my instincts. My first choice was the right one. Now that I've dealt with the dress, I just need to sort out my hair. I gather it into a quick bun, a touch of eyeliner, some lipstick, and I'm ready to go. It's already late when I leave the house. I climb into my little car, and a few minutes drive later, I'm there. The town hall gardens are magnificent, with the trees robed in the flaming colors of fall. There are already a lot of people, gathered in small groups, glasses of wine in hand. The guests are all dressed up to the nines, and the event looks more like a lavish wedding than a gathering in a small country village. The Maltese clearly didn't balk at the expense. I barely have time to ask for a cup of champagne at the buffet before I'm approached by a large man in a black suit. It is, of course, Yves Maltese, who shakes my hand, beaming. He's closely followed by a tall and haughty blonde woman. It's reasonable to assume she's his wife. Yves Maltese. Ah, good evening. Miss Delator, I'm so glad you arrived to our little party. I must confess, I've been very eager to learn more of the castle's new owner. Let me introduce you to my wife, Clotilde Maltese. Good evening, Miss Delator. Daphne, pleased to meet you. Her icy handshake contrasts sharply with her husband's bonhomie. I can read a mix of contempt and distaste in her eyes. Odd. It looks like my daughter Celine has been ambushed by old Mr. Mallory. He waves his hand towards a pretty young blonde woman across the path. She's leaning down to an old man in a wheelchair who's caught her by the wrist and seems determined to hang on to her as long as decency allows. As for my son, I believe you've already met him. Yes, I have. Well, now that we're done with the introductions, let me get to the point. I must tell you, my invitation was not without an ulterior motive. As you'll see for yourself later, during the opening ceremony, we're very concerned about the preservation of our cultural heritage here in this village. And you may have heard our relations with your grandmother were, how can I put it, strained. Yes, I had heard that. I imagine your maintenance costs at the castle must be quite significant. If you would agree to open it to visitors a few times a year, the town council may be able to help you out with some of these expenses. Hmm. On one hand, I probably do have a bit of discretion on what dates I can open up the castle. On the other hand, that means I have to commit to that. But an answer like this does not mean I'm necessarily locked into it. It's worth a thought, I suppose. Your offer is certainly worth considering. It is, isn't it? I'm sure it's a win-win situation. That tower, especially, is an architectural marvel. A building so old and so well conserved. It's extremely rare, you know? It's almost criminal to keep it out of the public eye, and it would be absolutely tragic to see it fall in disrepair due to lack of maintenance. It's not the it's not the kind of decision one can take lightly. I'll have to think it over. Anyway, let me assure you I have the very best intentions, and I hope with all my heart that your move here will signal a new cordiality between our families. What happened between our families? Can you tell me what happened exactly between the Maltaires and the Delators? This village is a hornet's nest, and the smallest trifles can take on enormous proportions. My grandfather had a grudge against the Delators when I was born, and I'm not sure even he knew the origins of the quarrel. We have to move on. You're right. It doesn't matter anymore. We need to move on. My thoughts exactly. Look, I'd be delighted to continue our discussion, but unfortunately, duty calls. Have a nice evening. You too. Yves Maltaire disappeared into the crowd. But now I know who the other members of the family are. I'll be able to question them directly. Celine is still dealing with the old man at Clothilde. Her mother has taken advantage of her husband's departure to move on to the buffet. And, after all, I'm not obliged to make small talk. I could also decide I've seen enough and go home. Which did I do? Yeah, I suppose I should At least introduce myself to the last of Maltaires. When she sees me approaching, Celine seizes her chance and manages, finally, to extricate herself from Mr. Maury's clutches. For an instant, her eyes are full of gratitude and relief. Then she comes towards me with a large smile. You must be Daphne Delator. I'm Celine Maltaire, Stanislaus' older sister. Pleased to meet you. The pleasure is mine. I was looking forward to meeting you. Stan told me you were delightful. Stan told you about me? He did, and I want to apologize for his behavior. I know what he can be like around women. He probably won't like me telling you this, but I think you made quite an impression on him. Me too. I must admit, you made quite an impression on me too. I appreciate your honesty. Listen, I know it's none of my business, but I hope you won't mess him around. Stan's never been lucky in love. He could really do with a stable relationship. And his relationship with our parents is quite strained. If he could shake himself free of the family a bit, it would do him a lot of good. The problem is that he's the kind of person that has to be pushed to commit himself. I'm just saying, there's no pressure, but I'm counting on you, Daphne. She bursts out laughing. But enough about my brother. Tell me about yourself. What do you do for a living? How do you like it here, in the village? We talk for a good 20 minutes. Celine seems kind and outgoing, but I can't decide if it's all just a front. And her attention seems to wander quite often until, without notice, she disappears into the town hall, leaving me hanging. Hmm. Perhaps this would be a good opportunity to get to know the wife. Clothilde Maltaire is chatting with a group of smartly dressed people. A vague smile plays upon her lips. Her face is hard to read. Was she reluctant to attend this function? Or is that distant, haughty attitude part of her natural personality? Seeing me approach, she apologizes to her guest and takes me aside. Mrs. Maltaire. Listen, girl. I'm talking to Dr. Zakarian and his wife. If you've been raised with such a lack of basic good manners, well, I hope you'll excuse my bluntness, but I'm afraid I have neither the time nor the inclination to teach you otherwise. So, if you don't mind, I'll go back to my guests and you, I don't know, enjoy the buffet maybe? I wish you a good evening. Mm, I'll let her off. It's not like she wanted to talk to me anyways. I'm as dumbstruck as Clothilde turns away and returns to her conversation. I had imagined she would be so hostile towards me. There's a ripple in the crowd. The guests are gathering around a platform. I suppose the unveiling ceremony is about to begin. Someone's walking against the current, pushing through the crowd in my direction. Da- Daphne. It's Stanislaus carrying a glass of wine and looking rather drunk. You came. Great. Are you alright? Something tells me you've had a bit too much to drink, haven't you? Too much. No, just a small anesthetic to get through the old man's speech. Come with me. Your sister must be around here somewhere. I turned my back to him, looking for Celine. Should know what to do with her brother in this kind of situation. Barely have time to around when Stan twirls me back, pulling me against him. I look into his eyes and understand perfectly what is about to happen. I'm trying to hold him back, but exhaling wine fumes in my face. His mouth presses down on mine. Luckily, I'm saved by a rasping voice that stops Stanislaus in his track. Beatrice Levesque. Oh, isn't it enough for you that you corrupt our youth? Beatrice Levesque stands next to us, glaring at me. Let's calm things down. Calm down, Mrs. Levesque. I was just leaving. If you just... Beatrice doesn't let me finish my sentence, but throws the contents of her glass of red wine in my face. That's for you, you filthy. Surprised by the attack, I take a step backward and stumble. I feel sharp pain in my left hand. I feel my cheeks flushing. A ball of heat seems to blaze inside my chest. Filthy what? Filthy witch? Is that what you wanted to say? Stanislaus helps me up. I feel something warm dripping down my finger and realize I must have cut my hand when I fell. See? And now I'm injured. Are you happy? Since I'm a filthy witch, I curse you. You'll pay for what you've done to me tonight. Is that what you wanted? Are you satisfied? If I'm a sorceress, as you say, why not put my powers to good use? Daphne, your hand. Blood has been drawn. Careful with what you're about to. With perverse satisfaction, I watch Mrs. Levesque turn white as a sheet. I hold her gaze until she lowers her head and turns away. Stan puts his hand on my shoulder and shakes me gently. Daphne? Daphne, do you realize what? I cut him off, exasperated. Oh, enough now. Leave me alone. I stride to the bathroom to clean out my wound, wipe the wine from my face, and most of all, try to calm down. In the distance on the platform, Yves Maltaire has taken the microphone and is about to speak. My dear friends, neighbors, and fellow citizens, we've come together to celebrate the start of the fall season. As you all know, by tradition, this time of the year is dedicated to reflection and remembrance. It's a time when we think of those dear to us who have moved on, who wait for us on the other side. But it's also the time of the offering when we pray that nature and her invisible entities bring us a mild winter. That's why our craftsmen have worked so hard all summer in preparation for this celebration, so that today we could present to you the fruit of our efforts. As we leave summer behind us to enter winter, this time of offering, as I said, seems like the ideal moment to renew our pact with our protectors. Those invisible forces who have allowed our traditions to survive, century after century, not to disappear at the whim of invasions and external influences, and who bring us good fortune, happiness, and prosperity every year. So I'm proud to present to you this physical representation of our pact, this statue, symbol of our community, that was worn down by the years and the weather, has now been remade by the masterful hands of our exceptional local craftsmen. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you the Sphinx. I think I'll stop here. Just wanted to do a short little thing to get this moving forward. I gotta get ready for work in about an hour, so we'll leave things here.